I know for a fact that when men go to the restroom, they're in and out because they're quick. This fool was gone for almost 10 minutes. Hi, people of God. Welcome back to my channel, Aaliyah 316. My name is Aaliyah, and today we're going to be talking about Christian dating and dating as a Christian. And I feel like when it comes to dating, at least for me, it's so important to make sure that you're upholding your values and upholding your morals and your standards, and don't let up on your expectations. Just because it might be hard to find a good match, it doesn't mean you need to compromise. And I feel like the last couple of weeks have really taught me that. And of course, we all long for companionship. We all long to have somebody in our life that, we can talk to, and somebody that's more than just a friend, somebody that we have in our life in a romantic capacity. And so the last couple of weeks, I have been trying my hand at dating and just trying to get back out there and trying to, I guess, figure out what exactly I'm looking for. And I know what I want in terms of a relationship. I want a man that I can share my faith with, a man that is after God's own heart, somebody that I can pray with, somebody that I don't feel ashamed to talk about God with. And you should never feel ashamed to talk about God, but just somebody that I feel comfortable with opening that part of my heart up to, and somebody that somebody that I can see as a protector of the household and my family, and somebody that will provide for me, somebody that is funny and intelligent and is someone that I'm attracted to. And there's so many other things that I am looking for, but the biggest one being is somebody that is a man after God's own heart, because I feel like if that is in order, then everything else will fall into place. So anyways, the last couple of weeks I have been on a few dates, and the first one that I went on was with a guy that I met on a dating app, and we were messaging back and forth, and we had agreed to meet each other, and we went to this event in Charlotte, because that's where I'm living now, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'll talk more about that in another video, but we went to this place at Camp North End, and they were showing movies that day. So we had decided to meet up for dinner and then see the movie later. And prior to me going on that date, I was so nervous. I was so in my head. I was like, well, God, what if he thinks I'm boring? What if he doesn't find me attractive? What if I don't find him attractive? What if we run out of things to talk about? What if he stands me up? What if? So I eventually was just like, you know what? Just go for it. Worst thing that happens is you don't like each other and you just don't talk to each other again. It's not the end of the world. So I get there, and I got there like half an hour early because, with Charlotte traffic, you never know. So I ended up getting there like half an hour early, and he arrived like shortly after the time that we agreed to meet. So he gets there, and then we're like basically looking for each other because he had parked somewhere that was a little bit further away from where I parked. So, we're like texting back and forth, like, okay, like I'm here, like, are you by this store? And, I'm walking down trying to find the place that he said he was near. And eventually, like, I see him walking on by, and I'm like, Steven, we'll just say his name is Steven. And he looks up and he sees me, and, I walk over and give him a hug. And I don't know if that like kind of threw him off, because he's like, oh, like you're a hugger. And I mean, I am, like, but from the minute like we met, it was awkward. So we're walking down to the restaurant, and I'm just kind of asking him questions, and he will respond, but he doesn't like really ask me questions back. And so we get our food, and he pays, which, like that is, something that's very sweet, and something that is kind of expected for the guy to pay, at least on the first date. And so, we get our food, and he doesn't ask me if I want a drink, because it's like, I mean, when you get food, like, normally you get a drink with it, because like how else are you gonna wash it down? And I'm sorry, but the food I got, it was dry, and how am I supposed to wash this down without a drink? And he didn't ask. He wasn't like, oh, do you want a bottle of water or something? Or no. So anyways, we get our food, we sit down, we start eating, and it just got more and more awkward, because eventually we ran out of things to talk about. And mind you, I'm pretty much asking all the questions here. Like he might throw in a question here and there, like sprinkle a little, but I'm pretty much carrying the whole conversation. And it got to the point where I'm just like, oh my goodness. I was seriously considering just pretending like I had to go to the bathroom and just leaving, because I don't like being in awkward situations like that, where the person that you're with, like it just felt like, to me at least, he wasn't really putting himself out there. And I get it, like people are shy, people are introverted, and it can be hard for you to open up sometimes. But my thing is this: if you are going to take that step, to put yourself out there and to go on a blind date, I mean, let's be real, like it's pretty much a blind date at that point. At least try to really put yourself out there and have a conversation. So finish her food. At this point, again, I'm considering running away, but I don't, because I felt like that might be rude. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's just warming up. Maybe eventually he'll open up more. Girl, he did not. So we finish our food, and we're kind of just wandering around the place. And this movie doesn't start for like another 2 hours. And, we're just wandering around in silence, because, again, we ran out of things to talk about. So I'm just kind of like, well, like, do you want to just kind of end it, or like, should we just call it a night? And he's like, oh, okay. So he walks me back to my car, and I gave him a hug, and I'm just like, I will probably never hear from this dude again. But to my surprise, he messaged me later, and, we still talk to this day, but we're just friends. And that was not what I was expecting for my first date in a long time. So end up talking to another guy, and we agreed to meet up and go on a date. And I was really excited, because it was a part of Charlotte that I hadn't been to yet, but is very artsy, and there's a lot of stuff to do there. So we met up at like this putting place, right? And I found him at the bar. He was waiting for me, and just the way he, I guess, turned around and looked at me, like it just, like right away I knew in my spirit, like he was not the one for me. Like it just I got this impression that he just really wasn't trying, or he really didn't care if I didn't like him. I mean, granted, he was more open and more talkative than the last guy, but he was just like almost kind of rude. And I feel like when you're just meeting someone, regardless of if you like them or not, like, you should put your best foot forward and at least try to be a gentleman in the best way possible. So we were a little competitive while we were playing, and I ended up beating him. But the whole time that we were playing, he just kind of was a sore loser about it, and I find that to be very unattractive. And I just thought like he was very like crude and very crass the way he talked. I mean, like, there were times where like he would try to hit the ball and then it ended up flying into like Narnia, and he had to get a whole new ball. And he was just like, I don't know, like, I'm like, we're just like playing for fun. Like, it's not serious. It's not like this is like a championship or something. So that was a red flag for me. And the next thing is, we finished playing, and so we decided to get dinner at that place because they had like a little restaurant attached to it. So he, asked me to grab a table, and he had, went to the restroom. So I am sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting, and I know for a fact that when men go to the restroom, they're in and out because they're quick. This fool was gone for almost 10 minutes. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like, okay, if he doesn't come back within 5 minutes, I'm gone. Like, this is how long he was gone. Like, I couldn't even tell you, but it was, for whatever he was doing, it should not have taken that long. So anyways, he finally comes back and doesn't apologize for being gone that long. So that was another red flag, because obviously you don't respect my time. This is what I'm thinking. And so he sits down, waitress comes over and brings us our menus and stuff. And we're just talking and talking, and the waitress comes back. And at this point, he starts flirting with the waitress. And he's like asking her questions like, oh, well, if you had to choose between the pasta and the fried chicken sandwich, like, which one would you get? And da 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 da. And then she's like, oh, well, I would choose this. And if you want, I'll make it so they put the coleslaw and the garlic aioli sauce on the side. And da 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 da. I'm like, am I chopped liver over here? Like, you clearly do not respect me. And even if you don't see anything past this date, like us continuing to talk, like, at least respect me and respect my time. Like, I don't have to be here. So that was another red flag, him flirting with that waitress. But when the food came, right, he immediately started complaining. And this sandwich that he ordered came with coleslaw. And he's like, yeah, I don't like coleslaw. I think it's nasty. I think it's nasty sugar honey iced tea. And I'm just like, oh, like, you don't like it? He's like, yeah, but I've never tried it before. And I'm just like, well, how do you know you don't like it if you've never tried it? And he's like, well, I just feel like it's nasty and it's da 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 da. I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyways, he starts eating a sandwich and immediately he starts complaining. So eventually, fast forward, the waitress comes back to, get our plates and stuff and ask us if we're ready for the bill. And she asked him how he liked the food, and he was just like, Well, that was some nasty sugar honey iced tea. Literally, that's what he said to the waitress. Like, how disrespectful and rude. Like, at least say it in a different way. Like, oh, I didn't really care too much for that, or it wasn't really what I was expecting, or whatever. Like, there's so many other ways you can express that you don't like something besides being an a-hole about it and being just rude. So whatever. So she takes away the food, and we're still talking, and then we're talking about family, and just the way he talked about his family and he talked about relationships gave me the impression that he is somebody that takes his relationships and his family for granted. I love my family, I love my friends, and I don't take any of them for granted. There was a time in my life where I did, but God really opened my eyes to really understand that nobody is promised tomorrow, and we don't know how long we have on this earth, and you don't know how long you will have the people in your life. So cherish them while they're here. And just the way that he would talk about like his family and how he is perfectly okay with going weeks and months without talking to people, and he's fine with ignoring people because he doesn't feel like talking to them and doesn't want to be bothered. It's just like, okay, what if we were in a relationship together? What if we, God forbid, we had gotten married? You would be fine without not talking to me and not communicating with me like that. I can't do that. So I am completely thankful that that did not work out. And what really was the cherry on top for me, that kind of just was like, okay, this dude is not for me. He walked me back to my car, which was sweet. I will give him that. But he says to me, well, yeah, I'll definitely text you. Mind you, I didn't say that to him. I didn't ask anything of the sort. Oh, like, will I hear from you? No. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely text you. And doesn't. Of course not. But just, I don't like it when people make empty promises. Like, I want somebody that is a man of their word. If you tell me you're going to do something, you'll follow through, or at least do the best you can to follow through. So I'm glad it didn't work out. And I felt almost like rejected at first. And again, like, I knew he wasn't going to reach out, but a small part of me, I guess, hoped he would. Because aside from all the things that I mentioned about him being kind of a jerk, he was funny, and it's been a really long time since I met somebody with like a sense of humor like that, and that is something that I like. I want somebody with a good sense of humor. So anyways, he didn't reach out, but I felt kind of rejected, and I felt like I was going through my head, like, what did I say? What did I do? Did I not wear the right thing? Did I not do this? Did I? And all these thoughts are running through my head, and I'm just like, oh, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep running into men that don't find me attractive or don't want more from me or whatever? And God really had to stop me in my tracks and stop me into that negative thought spiral that I was in. And he showed me, listen, you ought to be thankful that that relationship did not work out, because the two of you are on different paths, and the path that you are on and the path that he is on, it would not have worked out. And think about it this way, okay? Like, you see all of these things, and you might think that somebody is a good match for you and somebody has all of the qualities that you're looking for. But just like I know you, and I've known you from the womb, and I know and I see you, and I know things about you that other people don't know. I know things and I see things that about that person that you don't know. And so I know that maybe a year into that relationship, things will be okay. But if you guys were to get into a fight or have an argument, the way that they communicate and the way that they deal with difficult situations, it would conflict, and you guys would end up being in a really unhappy place. And who knows, like, you could even be in danger with the way that that person might lash out and handle situations where, you know, their anger flares up. So not to say that that guy is like that, but you never know. So be thankful for the doors that I have closed, and don't try to reopen them, because I am protecting you. And I just really had to stop and thank God for not just that relationship, but other relationships that have not worked out. Because even if I don't know the reason why it didn't work out, it doesn't matter, because God knows what is best for me, and I need to trust that. And I've been in situations where things have ended, and I've tried to go back and basically rekindle things. And I realized that that was a mistake, because I was always somebody that would give everything and pour into that person, and I wouldn't get anything back in return. And if I'm going to pray things like, God, please bring somebody into my life that doesn't just take everything from me, but is somebody that is a giver, I can't go chasing after people that God doesn't want me to chase at. If God has closed that door, let it be closed. And just pray for patience, and pray for discernment, and pray for protection, because you know what? It's better to be alone than it is to have bad company. And I don't want bad company. And I don't want my sisters or my future children to have bad company. And I want to be somebody that breaks generational curses when it comes to bad relationships. So I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting until whenever it is that God brings the person that I'm supposed to be with into my life. And in the meantime, I will pray, and I will pray for my future husband. And not just prayers like, oh God, please bring my future husband into my life. No, I'm going to pray for his protection. I'm going to pray that he stays on the path that God has him on. And I'm going to pray that he is being prepared as the man that God wants him to be for me before he enters into my life. And in the meantime, I'm going to be praying that I am the woman that he needs me to be before I enter into his life. So pray for your future spouse. Pray for just their protection and their preparation, and also pray for those things for yourself too. And just be patient and be in anticipation, because it'll happen. And it'll happen when you're not even looking for it. It'll happen when you're not even thinking about it. And I just have to hold on to that promise, because God has put people in my life that have prophesied over me and said, you are going to have a strong marriage. Like, someone is going to come into your life and just knock you off your feet, and in the best way possible, like not knock you off your feet in like a bad way, but just someone that'll sweep you off your feet and be everything that is in alignment with God and what he wants you to have. So I will hold on to that. And sometimes, well, a lot of days it's hard for me to remember that, but I think in times where it's hard for you to keep the hope, and it's hard for you to stay faithful to the mission of just continuing to do the work, continuing to do better, and to let go of the things that have previously held you back, the insecurities, the trauma, the fear, the insecurities, the anxiety, everything. In times where you start feeling like God has forgotten about you, that's time for you to press into him even more and say, God, please renew my strength, renew my faith, renew my hope. Help me reignite that fire for you, and help me be put into environments where I am surrounded by people that are also on fire for you. So I continue to just grow and mature, not just as a Christian, but also as a potential wife and a potential husband for somebody one day. So with all of that said, that's been my little experience back into dating. And again, it's only been a couple of weeks, but I'm not gonna let it, I'm not gonna put too much stock in it, because it's not the end all be all. Marriage is not the end all be all, and I am a whole person before I even started dating, and I'll be a whole person before I even get married. And I just pray I don't forget that. And I'm going to focus on the things that God has placed inside my heart, because I want to have something to bring to the table when my husband does come into my life. I want to be able to say, hey, these are the things that I've been working on, and these are the things that make me special. And I'm not just somebody that just sits around and just waits for things to happen. No, I execute. I do things. Like, I have stuff to I can provide for myself, and I don't need a knight on in shining armor to come and rescue me. Like, I am a whole person before you even came into my life. So anyways, I said all that to say, like, even though things haven't worked out for me this year so far in terms of dating, it doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be forever. And I just need to focus on the mission and focus on just really taking this time to date myself, really, and get to know myself, because it'll happen when I'm not even thinking about it. That's what they say, and I believe it to be true. Things that you want happen when you're not even looking for it. So whoever's watching this video, if you are in the same boat, or somebody that's in the same boat, just pray for them, and pray that they don't lose the faith. Pray that they continue to walk with God, and that they don't take things into their own hands and try to force things that God didn't intend to work out, because it just leads to pain, and it leads to issues that you weren't supposed to experience had you have just left it alone altogether. So with that said, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you so much.